Coming up on Action News AM, Mayor Tom Bradley sets the wheels in motion, calling for a nationwide search for Police Chief Daryl Gates' successor. But Chief Gates says he's not going anywhere, that he wants to help reform his department.
I suspect all of you are saying, okay, Chief, now what are you going to do? And I don't expect you to just run away.
Governor Pete Wilson continues in his demand for state workers' compensation reform using an Action News series as evidence. And a record set in last night's All-Star game. Baltimore's Cal Ripken Jr. does some of the setting.
Good morning, Southern California. This is Channel 2 Action News with Chris Canangla, Terry Anser, Bill Keene's traffic and weather, and Jerry Laird's business reports. Channel 2 Action News AM.
Good morning, everybody. Here's what's happening. It was thought the Christopher Commission's report on the Los Angeles Police Department would go a long way toward determining the future of Police Chief Daryl Gates and whether Gates would be forced to step down. Well, it's been about 19 hours now since the report came out with a call for a transition of power at the top of the department. And this morning, the chief is as defiant as ever. He not only plans on staying, he plans on staying around long enough to see that the commission's recommendations are carried out.
If the people of the city of Los Angeles believe, as the commission believes, that a chief should be restricted to 2 5-year terms, the people will speak, and that will say volumes to me in terms of my having been here for 13 years. So I think we need to go forward with the process. The recommendations are contained in here. The commission has asked or hoped that I would stay. They say they hope that I would stay while my successor is being picked. But of course, you don't want to pick a successor until the changes have been made.
The chief said while the report criticized a core group of some 300 problem officers, he said it largely ignored more than 8,000 officers who serve the city of Los Angeles with honor.
However, the Christopher Commission concluded that sweeping changes are needed in the Los Angeles Police Department. That came after a 100-day investigation of excessive force at the LAPD. Bob Jimenez looks at the report highlights.
One of the first things the commission said is that there must be an immediate change at the very top of police management. Said the report, quote, "It is appropriate for the city to commence a transition in the office of Chief of Police, and we hope that Chief Gates will remain available while a successor is being chosen. Gates turns 65 next month." One of the most disturbing findings of the commission, LAPD higher management has failed to control what the commission called a significant number of officers who repeatedly committed excessive force.
We have also found that the commanding officers have not been held accountable for the use of force by the officers they supervise, and we recommend that this should and must change.
The commission said the excessive force is aggravated by racism. Quote, "There were far too many disturbing racial remarks and ethnic slurs." The Christopher Commission wants a major overhaul of the police disciplinary system and citizen complaint process. And the report also recommended an overhaul of the police commission, saying to promote harmony and healing, the commission needs a fresh start.
We have found that the police commission lacks the organization and resources to carry out the responsibilities given to it by the charter to supervise and manage the police department.
This is Bob Jimenez, Action News AM.
Transcripts of computer communications between LA police officers are due for release today. The Christopher Commission will release those additional documents, which it says contain hundreds of calls showing racial and sexual prejudice.
LA Mayor Tom Bradley is joining the chorus demanding Gates' retirement. The mayor said the LAPD management team has clearly failed.
The problem of excessive force is aggravated by racism and bias within the LAPD. Attitudes of prejudice and intolerance are translated into unacceptable behavior in the field and are also directed against minority and female officers. Warren Christopher and his commission have shown with stark words and stacks of evidence the depth of the crisis within the department. But the commission has also provided a roadmap to guide the department out of crisis. Now, we must follow that map.
Well, despite those strong words from the mayor, the issue of Chief Gates continues to be the overriding concern at City Hall, where the commission's report will likely set up another bitter debate in the City Council about the chief's future. That's because the council is still divided about what the report really says. In the report from Commission Chairman Warren Christopher, Mayor Bradley challenged city officials to adopt all the recommendations with no changes.
We respect the integrity that went into the compilation of the information and the making of the report, and not change any of the recommendations which you're making.
But controversy erupted in the City Council over the recommendation that Police Chief Daryl Gates participate in an orderly transition to new leadership.
My feeling is that the transition period would require a year, and that's an appropriate transition time, and I suspect would not be disagreeable to him either.
The chief's comments have left me more convinced than ever that he is not the one to oversee reforms in the LAPD.
A councilman who owes his re-election to a Gates endorsement that was criticized by the report as improper defended the chief.
I do not believe the chief should be required to resign. I think that he should stay on. I think he has a exemplary record of service to the city.
But new evidence of racist police computer messages puts new pressure on council members to do something about Gates as they take up the recommendations Monday. Well, the wheels are already in motion. Mayor Bradley last night asked the City Personnel Department and the Police Commission to immediately begin a nationwide search to find a new chief. However, that search cannot begin without City Council approval. Chris?
Christopher Commission's call for members of the LA Police Commission to step aside brings changes already. At a regularly scheduled meeting late yesterday, Commission Chairman, President Melanie Lomax, said she was quitting.
I believe that I can perform no greater service for this entire community of Los Angeles than by contributing toward the process of reform and healing embodied by the findings of the Independent Commission. I would therefore tender my resignation.
Lomax refused to clarify whether or not her resignation would depend on the retirement of Police Chief Gates, but following her lead, Commissioner Sam Williams also offered his resignation. Both Lomax and Williams were extremely vocal critics of the Gates administration at the LAPD.
Channel 2 Action News is sponsored in part by El Torito. Our $7.95 fajitas combos now include dessert.
Now, El Torito's famous fajitas are better than ever, because now our sizzling fajita combos are among over 40 big, delicious Mexican meals for under $7.99 every day. Sizzling steak or chicken fajita combos with a taco, an enchilada, or taquitos, and even a delicious chocolate mousse dessert, all for just $7.95 at El Torito. They come from the San Gabriel Valley bearing wonderful news. From La Cañada Flint Ridge,
Foothill Pontiac,
El Monte,
Valley Pontiac,
Monrovia,
Sierra Pontiac,
Whittier,
Community Pontiac,
Alhambra,
Autoland Pontiac,
West Covina,
Pisani Pontiac,
Claremont.
Claremont Pontiac.
These are your 7 San Gabriel Valley Pontiac dealers who can offer you extraordinary deals during San Gabriel Value Days.
Oh, Miz, are you eating Newts and cottage cheese plain again?
Well,
looks like you're trapped in the 50s, back when cottage cheese creativity was at an all-time low.
Well, what can you do with it?
Don't be wiggy. Scoop it in a baked potato, spice it up with salsa, swirl it in pasta.
Oh, I've got a meeting.
Meeting? You've got a floor to wax.
Me?
Newts and low-fat cottage cheese. Now it comes in 4 packs.
Just another phone number, right? Not exactly. This number can mean a beautiful add-on for your home, a new pool, an exotic vacation, or the cash you need to consolidate your bills. You see, Ames arranges quality equity loans for homeowners at competitive rates with no credit hassles. So discover what so many Californians already know. When it comes to borrowing, one number does it all. All right, quit showing off.
Here is a live picture of the Parker Center, headquarters of the Los Angeles Police Department, on the day after the release of the Christopher Commission report. Amidst raging debate in the city over exactly what will be done with that report on this Wednesday, July 10th at 6:09, when sunny and warmer weather is on the way, and a high of 79 degrees at the LA Civic Center. Here's an important story developing with worldwide implications. President Bush later today may lift all economic sanctions against South Africa. Yesterday, Mr. Bush said he was ready to make that move because he says South Africa is stepping away from its historical policy of apartheid, changes the president says no one would have dreamed possible.
In the midst of the LAPD story, we of course have the continuing story of the state budget. And Governor Wilson continues to make reform of the state workers' comp system a key to final passage of that budget. The governor yesterday showed a Capitol News conference the exclusive series of reports done by Action News investigative reporter Harvey Levin. In that series, Harvey showed how some corrupt doctors fraudulently claim workers are injured when in fact they're not, so those workers can obtain state benefits. Wilson said the system needs to be overhauled to keep employers and the jobs they provide in California. He said agreement on reform is the last remaining issue holding up final passage of the state's $56 billion budget, which, by the way, includes $2 billion worth of new taxes.
Well, somebody's got some money because one of the biggest computer software companies is being bought out. Let's find out who it is from Jerry Laird at the Pacific Stock Exchange. Jerry?
It's Ashton Tate. Based in Torrance, makers of the D-Base software, it is being acquired by a competitor, Borland International, for $17.50 a share in stock. Tate closed yesterday at $11 1/4. United Airlines is expected today to offer to buy Pan American's Latin American routes. A jury has awarded $21 million damages against Kawasaki to the LA man who invented the jet ski. Kawasaki had claimed it invented the jet ski. London and Tokyo stocks are higher. U.S. stocks are little changed in Europe. Bonds are little changed. The dollar is mixed. London morning gold $370.20, up $1 from yesterday. The LA Times is raising its newsstand price in most areas to 35 cents from 25 cents. Consumers were polled on the best quality brand names. Disney topped the list. And watch out for black widow spiders in your table grapes. 2 food chains in the Northeast have banned California grapes because of spiders. Growers blame the reduced use of pesticides. Terry, Chris?
Oh, all right, Jerry, thank you very much. We'll keep a close eye on them. If your grapes are moving, don't eat them. Anyway, let's move on up to Bill Keene and see how we're doing in weather and traffic this morning, Bill.
That doesn't sound like sour grapes to me. We've got a situation where we've got pretty decent weather here. We've got low clouds this morning, but we'll have sun this afternoon. The next few days will warm up slowly in the coastal areas, but we'll still have the night and morning low clouds. Today's high about 79, and the low tonight will be down somewhere around 60. Tomorrow we'll get into the low 80s. You can see over in New Mexico a little low cloudiness starting to form, a little cloudiness that could bring some thunder showers to the mountains and deserts later in the week. Meantime, around the country, the weather is pretty much as it has been and can be expected in the summer. Just east of the Rockies, a low-pressure system triggering a lot of thunder showers up and down the eastern Rockies. Still very heavy rains in Kentucky and the Carolinas as the weather system moves through there. Elsewhere, the country's just about normal. In traffic this morning, it's been very light in most areas. On the westbound Pomona Freeway, we had a little problem in Chino. On the westbound 10 at Monte Vista, a minor collision is cleared. And on the westbound 91 at Surface Club Drive, a collision that is just cleared. Also in the San Fernando Valley, on the northbound 405 at Mulholland, a stalled truck there caused a little slowing. Chris and Terry?
Okay, thanks, Bill. Right after this, we will update the morning headlines for you, and later on we'll tell you about a Long Beach chemical spill that forced some people to evacuate their homes last night. And
there were a few records set during last night's All-Star game. Keith Overman fills us in when we return.
Well, how about back-to-back, Cecil?
America, how do you measure up? Eating right is a good start. But when good intentions don't seem to be enough, there's GNC. At General Nutrition Centers, we're here to help, offering a huge selection of diet products at prices you'll love, like Lacey LeBeau Dieter's Tea. Make this delicious treat a part of your everyday diet in 5 great-tasting Lacey LeBeau flavors. It's just one more way we're helping to keep you in shape at America's Diet Store, GNC.
It starts with a single step. You go for it. And once you taste it, there's no turning back.
Once I tasted Hinckley & Schmidt bottled water, I knew there was no turning back. Pure, great tasting, nothing artificial. It's perfect for my training routine here and my life at home, and it's real easy to get. All it takes is a single step.
It all begins with one simple phone call to Hinckley & Schmidt for this refreshing offer. Call right now, and you and your family can drink in all the pleasures of this perfectly delicious water absolutely free. After that, you can keep enjoying all the Hinckley & Schmidt water you need from as little as $15 a month. So take that first step and call right now.
I called Hinckley & Schmidt, and right away I had this great water for drinking and cooking.
Instant, hot or cold water, right here for my employees. And it's certainly easy on my bottom line.
My Hinckley & Schmidt goes everywhere with me. I even take it to work.
No funny taste or smell. I like to think of it as health insurance. Do you agree?
Yes, Grandpa.
I can't argue with that. Pure, clean, natural, and it's the only bottled water with someone's name on it. I guess that's why these guys have been known as the pure water people for over 100 years. Hey, I've trusted Hinckley & Schmidt for a healthy drink of water every day, and they've never let me down. Who can beat a track record like that?
Isn't it time you made Hinckley & Schmidt part of your life? All it takes is one phone call to enjoy this delicious free trial offer.
So come on, go for it. Once you taste Hinckley & Schmidt, there's no turning back.
It looks placid on the outside, but there is turmoil inside Parker Center on this Wednesday, July 10th. 16 after the hour of 6. Sunny and warmer today, the forecast. High of 79 degrees, we expect, at the LA Civic Center. In the morning headlines, LA Mayor Tom Bradley says a nationwide search should begin immediately for Police Chief Daryl Gates' successor in the wake of the Christopher Commission report calling for a transition of power at the top in the LAPD.
Meanwhile, Chief Gates says he's not going anywhere. Today, the commission will release more transcripts of ethnic slurs broadcast over his department's computers.
LA Police Commission is already being reformed in the wake of the commission report. President Melanie Lomax and member Sam Williams tendered their resignations late yesterday.
And now for the sports calendar, Major League Baseball takes another day off after last night's All-Star game. In France, the 5th stage of the Tour de France, American Greg LeMond remains just 10 seconds behind Denmark's Rolf Sorensen. And now here's Keith Olbermann with last night's sports report.
After having won only 4 of the 29 All-Star games, ending with the one in 1987, the American League has now reeled off 4 in a row. At the Skydome, as seen here on Channel 2, the huge local contingent from the Dodgers as they introduce the All-Stars, including pitcher Raymond Martinez. Raymond? Oh, Canada. Oh, Tony La Russa. He uses 7 pitchers in this game, but neither of the Angels, Langston or Harvey, get in. Bias? The great hitters of the 90s took aim at the pitchers, and I mean that literally. Top of the first, and Bobby Bonilla turns Jack Morris into the Dizzy Dean of our time. The liner off Morris to score Tony Gwynn with the game's first run. There were x-rays. There was no break, just a contusion. Cal Ripken got his results in exactly the way many of us expected he would. He contusioned on the ball. 2 on, 1 out in the third, and he says hello to his old Baltimore teammate Dennis Martinez by saying goodbye to the baseball. 3-run homer. Well, after all, he did hit a dozen of them in the home run contest Monday. Many expected a complete barrage in the Sky's the Limit Dome. More highlights. Roll the tape. Thank you. Boy, I didn't know I had that power. But as for homers, we had to take quality and not quantity. Look at Ken Griffey Jr. just shutting down on the Andre Dawson drive and watching. The National League bench says, ooh, pretty. The NL bidding for a tie in the 6th inning. And did somebody send Will Clark on this play, or did he do it on his own? Cecil Fielder nails him at the plate. He should never have left third. It's still 3-2. The National League continues to come up short. In the 7th, 2 on, 2 out. Eddie Murray pinch hits against Rick Aguilera, strikes out. Murray the K. Only New Yorkers will get that joke. Then the real landmark, the first catcher's interference in All-Star history. And it happened in our lifetime. Craig Biggio tipped Paul Molitor's bat. It leads to the AL insurance run, which is more than enough. The Americans doing the Nationals 4-2, mesmerizing them with super stoppers Jeff Reardon, Dennis Eckersley for the final out, and as we saw in Murray's case, Rick Aguilera.
It's not really knowing a person. He's throwing a splitter, and he has a slider and a fastball. And you go up there and you try and take those 3 pitches up there, and then, then you try and rely on tendency. But if you've never seen the guy, there's nothing else to go on. And I gave it my best shot and failed.
An ominous turn to the phrase All-Star break. Monday, ex-Dodger Pedro Guerrero was named Player of the Week. 24 hours later, he went on the disabled list. We show you this bizarre collision Sunday night. Guerrero's gut meeting up with Cardinal catcher Tom Pagnosi's head. Although initial x-rays showed nothing wrong with either of them, it turns out Guerrero suffered a hairline fracture of the right leg and he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. Racial prejudice in South Africa is over. This from the world's foremost civil rights organization, the International Olympic Committee, which has now readmitted South Africa to the Olympics. Must be some other South Africa. Finally, another baseball note. The economics department at the University of Dayton has worked out a formula to ascertain what baseball's all-time greats would be worth in today's free agent market. Ted Williams, $6.5 million. Honus Wagner, $7 million. We're not at the top of the list yet either. Babe Ruth and Walter Johnson, $7.5 million each. And for his skills, his longevity, and especially his durability, $7,800,000 a year for Lou Gehrig.
Next, suspects in the Sunday night murder of a 14-month-old girl.
And a chemical spill in Long Beach triggers some evacuations last night. Details on those stories when we come back. This is Terry Anzer with 60 Seconds on the crisis in Yugoslavia. Ethnic hatred has simmered for centuries in the Balkans. A ceasefire is only a band-aid on an open wound. Since 1945, Yugoslavia was controlled by communist dictator Josip Tito, a Croatian. His 1980 death left a leadership vacuum that set the stage for ethnic hatred to boil into violence this spring. In the 4th century, Croatia and Slovenia were separated from Macedonia and Serbia by the Romans. In 1918, they were united into what became Yugoslavia. Now Slovenia wants economic self-determination. It has 8% of the population, but produces 25% of Yugoslavia's gross national product. In Croatia, fighting continues between the dominant Serbian population and the indigenous Croats. The Serbs, who favor the federal Yugoslavian government in Belgrade, want a piece of Croatia for their own. The Croats want self-determination, fearing a Slovenian secession would leave Croatia vulnerable to Serbian rule. This has been an Action News Backgrounder in 60 seconds.
Channel 2 Action News is sponsored in part by Caro's Restaurants, where right now you can enjoy our new selection of delicious chicken dinners from only $5.99.
At Caro's, we make ordinary chicken extraordinary. We bake it to perfection. We saute it piccata. We toss it with pasta. We sauce it Florentine. We even simmer it in Grey Poupon. In fact, Caro's has 5 tempting new ways to enjoy chicken from only $5.99. So, when it comes to chicken, savor the classics. At Caro's, where we care. Right now, enjoy this weekday breakfast for only $3.39.
He's not here.
That's it. We've talked about bankruptcy. I'm getting the forms.
Let's talk to a lawyer.
What for? That's just another expense. I can do it myself.
We can't afford to do it wrong. I'm calling Jacoby and Myers. It won't cost much to talk.
Mistakes can cost you your bank account, furniture, tools, even your home. We can get the creditors off your back. And when it's time for you to be in court, we'll be there too. Jacoby and Myers.
I got a hot tip on this place. Took a while to find the sales guy. They don't rush you at the curb. Anyway, he says these cars here are all pre-driven, but not used.
Get out of here. It's true.
But he explained the cars are here because a lease expired or the banks repoed them. So I've got a choice of Nissan, Ford, BMW, whatever. At better than auction, better than private sale prices. This place is an opportunity waiting to happen.
There's only one collateral control system, Auto Liquidators, freeway close on Rosecrans in Norwalk.
People call me every day from all over Southern California. Good people with credit problems that other dealers and other banks have turned down. You want some credentials? There's 10,000 people riding around on the streets of Southern California who've had credit problems, who've purchased cars at Foothill Nissan. We think we're the only ball game in town, even if you've had a repossession, a judgment, a bankruptcy. Call us now at 687-7000, then come on down to Foothill Nissan.
What do you get when you watch Channel 2 Action News at noon?
Dr. Howard Torman answering your medical phone
Peggy
call.
Holter with a live report.
With Southern California's #1 midday report, you'll get news you can use all day long. Watch Channel 2 Action News at noon. Watch what happens.
Madonna. Get the real story from her world tour dancers and Madonna's own dare to Geraldo.
So go ahead. Let's see
say which one of you guys are man enough.
Madonna, uncensored, next Geraldo.
Geraldo, today at 4 on Channel 2.
Thousands of hard-working policemen and policewomen reporting for work today at Parker Center, even as the department is about to undergo another shock, the release of more transcripts showing a few officers making racial and sexual slurs over the police computers. It's going to be a big story this Wednesday, July 10th. 6:25 now, sunny weather on the way with a high of 79 at the LA Civic Center. Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies are holding 2 men this morning in connection with the Sunday night murder of a 14-month-old baby girl. She was killed, and 3 others, including the baby's mother, were injured in a drive-by shooting in the Willowbrook area. The suspects were arrested last night on suspicion of murder.
All right, let's check in again with Bill Keene to get the latest on weather and traffic. Bill?
Pretty calm in the weather department this morning. A little low cloudiness. That goes with the territory, and we'll have sun this afternoon. We'll warm up slowly the next few days. Our high today will be about 79 degrees downtown, into the low 80s tomorrow, with the overnight low tonight about 60. In the mountains and deserts, they're going to be clear the next couple of days, but by the weekend, they could start picking up some thunder showers again. In traffic this morning, it's been very quiet. Southbound on the 405, the San Diego Freeway at Culver. Down in the Irvine area, we had an earlier collision, but it's not causing any great problems. Northbound 5 pretty much wide open. And we had a problem on the northbound 405 at Mulholland. The southbound San Diego Freeway running pretty free and clear, except for a little slowing up around Roscoe. Chris and Terry.
All right, thank you very much, Bill. On this day in history, July 10th, 1925, jury selection took place in Dayton, Tennessee, in the trial of schoolteacher John Scopes, charged with violating the law by teaching Darwin's theory of evolution, the so-called Scopes monkey trial. And in 1985, Coca-Cola bowed to irate customers and said it would resume selling old formula Coke while continuing to sell new Coke. One of the great moves of all time in the soft drink business.
Well, aren't we glad they finally saw the light? Long Beach authorities say about 100 gallons of a chemical solvent spilled late last night when workers were transferring it from a rail car to a storage tank. More than 100 residents were evacuated as a result of the spill. Now we are told they are back home this morning. The spill occurred at the bulk terminal company in the 900 block of Fairbanks Avenue. Fire department spokesman say a worker simply miscalculated a mixture of propylene glycol and ether, causing the spill as it was being put into a storage tank. The evacuations were caused when a highly flammable cleaning agent began emitting a noxious odor, so apparently it smelled real bad, but it wasn't anything serious. Be thankful for that.
All's well that ends well. That is it for Action News AM. We are ending well this morning, and we'll be back, though, in about 25 minutes with more news, traffic, and weather.
The CBS Morning News is next. Thank you for watching, and get out there and make it a great day.
Yeah.